So today I had a bit of a health scare, and it's a genetic thing, so it's really nothing to do particularly with me, but except my genetics. And I thought to myself, at least I live in a system where I can go to a doctor and I don't have to worry about being out of pocket. And the doctors are really, really good with this public health service that we have here, the Medicare we have here. And even though our health system is actually being pecked away 1,000 cuts, to sort of in a neoliberal slide that's been happening since the late 70s, we still have some semblance of a free healthcare system. And if I'd had to have gone to hospital, well then I would have been able to go to hospital and it wouldn't have cost me anything. They would have done a bunch of tests and I would have not come out with a huge bill. So, but I was thinking to myself, thank goodness I live here, even though I know that our health system is threatened every day, particularly with the type of government we have here. And of course the major party that opposes it is not much better. But I thought, imagine, say, if I was Palestinian and I had to rely on an apartheid state to allow me to go to a particular hospital and they just said no, which is what the system does over there. They basically make it so that Palestinians can't get to certain hospitals for treatment, and a lot of people die of cancer. That's what it's like. And you can find more about what it's like for Palestinians in apartheid Israel, and that's actually being kind to it. It's much worse than apartheid ever was in South Africa at its height. But you can find more out about that via the Empire Files. That's the empirefiles.tv. And I just think, imagine that, if your mother had some sort of a health condition that really required hospitalization, or it required some sort of treatment, and you knew that you couldn't get that treatment, or like in the United States where many, many people, particularly now that so many are unemployed, like 30, 40 million people unemployed with no end in sight or no sort of way to really know how the future is going to be, and they've lost their health insurance, a lot of them. Imagine that, where suddenly you have a family and you've lost your health insurance, and health insurance is bad enough over there in the United States. They say no to different tests. Basically, it's terrible, and it costs too much money for a lot of people. I think to myself, imagine if I had to weigh that up every time I had something happen to me. For example, earlier in the year, I broke my wrist. I broke my arm, and I had to have a plate in it because it wouldn't. Even though my bone density is higher than average, I found out, it required a plate. So I had to have an operation, which meant, that would have cost, if you were in the United States, that would have cost probably a few $1,000s, plus the emergency department visit. It might have put me out of pocket $8,000 to $10,000, depending on where you live in the United States. Well, I can't afford that kind of thing. I just sort of... Basically, we muddle through, and we can't really go anywhere because we can't afford it. We also, I don't even, when we get a coffee, I actually share a coffee. It's like that. So, I mean, if I had to pay for something, I don't pay rent because we actually, fortunately, we actually own the house. But if I had to pay, and I don't have any mortgage, but still, I still am just making it, sort of just getting by. Not going anywhere, not going to any sort of real events that cost money, and that sort of thing. Well, you can gather just by sharing a coffee or sharing a vegan burger or something that, we're not abounding in money. So anyway, but, if I did have to pay for that, and if you break your arm, and you require a plate, well then, you either let it heal the way it is and then suffer pain for the rest of your life, but you still have to have some sort of a cast. But if you require an operation, I mean, I couldn't afford, $10,000. And then you have the backup visits, the follow-up visits where you have to go in and just have it checked, make sure it's set properly, all that kind of thing. It's just appalling because healthcare is a right, and the government is supposed to be working for you and I, They're not supposed to be working for corporations. They're supposed to be working for you and I. And they've made a lot of people believe that if the government does anything for you, that you should be somehow grateful for it, which is the biggest scam that ever was. And every 4 years or every 3 years, they make all these promises because they want to keep people going along with the neoliberal, neoconservative myth that they're going to do something for you, or that jobs is all that matters. There's no jobs on a dead planet. There's also, that could easily be fixed with a federal job guarantee, but nobody's going to do that because they want people desperate for work, so they'll work for nothing for these corporations. They'll be desperate enough to work for nothing. And in the United States, that's how it is. Just back to the health thing, I mean, if I'd required hospitalization and all that kind of thing, I would have been out of pocket something dreadful. And that's how things are for most people on the planet. And then there are people that don't have any access to anything because it doesn't really exist. I mean, it shouldn't be like this. And there's absolutely no reason why it should be like this. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because it's something I often think about when I have some sort of a health issue that I need to deal with. I just think, wow, if I weren't living in the country that I'm living in, it could ruin you financially. And just one incident could ruin you, like breaking your arm. And how I used to notice on TV, when I'd watch a movie and somebody would hurt themselves, people would say, oh, you need to go to the hospital. And there'd be this great argument about, no, I don't need a hospital. And I used to think to myself, why are they arguing about going to the hospital? Why is everybody on these American movies, why are they so reluctant to go to the hospital? Because I didn't know at the time, this is way back, I didn't know at the time that they didn't really have any decent health care. They didn't have any free health care. So people would be very reluctant to ever go to the hospital. And, now that I know that, it's just sort of, I think, wow, isn't that dreadful? Just dreadful. So anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. I haven't really been following up on what's been happening, the shit show in the US at the moment, because I've been dealing with this health issue. But genetics is an awful thing sometimes. It can be good or it can be bad. In this case, bad for me, but that's okay. And so anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll be fine. Just need some management, that's all. And thanks so much for watching. Let's all have good thoughts for all over the world, basically. We're just little animals that are, that's all we are, really. We're just little animals trying to be happy, and some little animals are making it very difficult for other little animals, and we're making it extremely difficult and awful for non-human animals, and that's why we need to go vegan. That's the only answer to what we're doing to them. But really and truly, we're just little animals, and and sometimes I feel very sad for us that we've made everything so complicated when really we are just simple little animals that have some technological bents and some language skills or whatever, but we're no more morally important than any other animal. They don't have to be like us for them to be as important and belong to the moral community. So anyway, thank you for watching. My name is Trish Roberts. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click the notifications bell. I've noticed that some people aren't really getting notifications when I drop a video. I'm even thinking maybe I need to start some sort of email list, because I think the more people you subscribe to on YouTube, the more channels, the less likely you are to receive notifications about all of them when they drop. And it sort of defeats the purpose of this whole notifications thing when you click the all part of all notifications. It defeats the purpose, but there you go. YouTube is pretty hopeless, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching. Till next time, go vegan. Bye for now.